Hey everybody, it's Kowalski here, checking in with our new live stream for a behind-the-scenes chat about the Roddenberry video, and we're going to read some comments, and we're going to do a little bit of a Q&A and talk about the future of the Kowalski channel. So I appreciate everybody joining us in. We're going to go ahead and kind of do a little bit more opening comments here as people start to slowly filter in. I'm going to go ahead and tweet this bad boy out so that way people know that we are, in fact, live. And I'll go ahead and get this cool chat going here as I try to reach around. Hello. All right, cool. So I'm ready to start talking about the Roddenberry video. It seems to me like a lot of people want to talk about the Roddenberry video. Everybody's got something mean to say and nice to say, I guess. I'm ready to go. I've got my, Romulan glass filled with water and ready to go here. Captain Nero. It also has a nice little chip in it, which I guess will cut me at any random point in time, which is what a Romulan would do, so I can't throw the glass away. So we're going to be drinking water and hydrating and talking about Roddenberry, A Warped Betrayal. So, we've already got comments. Tex Trek says, what's up, bro? What's up, Tex Trek? What's going on? Captain Robert April. Oh, my gosh, it's Captain Robert April. I cannot believe we've got Captain Robert April inside the live chat. This is exciting. He says, okay, let's get to it. We're going to get to it. Don't you worry about that. All right, so first thing we're going to do is just talk about quickly why I made this video, and then I'm going to correct a few things that I did wrong in the video, and then we're going to just jump right into those comments of about 10 or 15 people, maybe less, that I listed out. And, yeah, that's it. So, first off, the Gene Roddenberry video, we'll go ahead and cut over to the page here I have for the Creator Studio. I knew this video was going to be a little spicy. I knew it was going to upset some people. I didn't expect it to upset 262 of you so much. And that number seems like not that high, you know. It's like, okay, that's not that big of a deal. But this is now my most downvoted video ever made on the Kowalski YouTube channel. I did not expect it to cause this much drama. I didn't expect it to upset this many people. I think that some people downvoted the video. I think it's actually very glaring that some people downvoted the video without actually watching it all the way through, or even my final thoughts, which I tried to get people to watch my final thoughts because some people just read the titles, they watch the first 5 minutes, 2 minutes, and then they just assume they know what the rest of my opinion is, and they just downvote the video. There's a lot of really great comments, most of which are very constructive. Thank you, Captain Robert April, for saying that you uploaded it. I appreciate it. And for Drew L. saying you were not one of the ones that were upset, but some people were upset. For a lot of various reasons, and the comments that I picked out from everybody cover various different points what people were upset for. And yeah, so we're going to go through those, and I'm going to respond to some of them, and some of them I'm just going to read, and we're just going to kind of let that hang awkwardly in silence. So why did I make this video? So when I made the tone video, which you guys can no longer watch now because someone has pulled it down, which I'm trying to fix, a lot of people made the comment saying, okay, Gene Roddenberry would never approve of Star Trek Discovery. And so I sat there and I looked at these comments and I said, okay, is that a fair statement? Is it fair to say Gene would not approve of Star Trek Discovery? And I decided that I was going to make that the topic of my next mockumentary and try to logically break down what the golden standard of Star Trek was according to Gene Roddenberry, and would Star Trek Discovery apply to that? I did the best that I could. I tried to make it as logical as I possibly could and break everything down, all the major complaints that people have about Discovery, and say, would Gene like these things? Would he approve of this? Ultimately, if you guys saw my video, you know that I believe that he would not approve of Star Trek Discovery, which I think everybody who's in the chat right now would agree. So that's how the video came about. So that's all that is there. Hello, Mercer Create. So that's what that is. All this video was, and I just want to clear the air because I feel like some people, based off their comments, thought that I was either making, one, a political statement about social justice warriors, which I was not, or was making some kind of inference that Discovery is great or that it's terrible. and it seemed like people didn't really understand what the point of this video was, and I feel like that's on me, because if you don't really know what the point of the video was, then that's my fault, you know. So I tried really hard to do the best that I could, but it didn't really work out. But again, I want to go ahead and clarify right now that the point of this video was to just sit there and say, people who don't like Discovery, for whatever reason, who say the words, Gene Roddenberry would not like Discovery, I just wanted to see and break down logically if that was a fair thing to say. That's all I was trying to do, was to say, is that a fair complaint? Is that a fair thing to say? And I think I did a good job at that, but some people think that I should go kill myself, according to some comments, which, you know, I get on every video. Just go kill yourself. But, you know, so I tried my best, but it is what it is. So we will, now that that's out of the way, I just want to talk a little bit about the video itself. Ironically, nobody mentioned really any comments about the quality of the video, which I think is a good thing because nobody complained about it. I tried really hard. I spent the most time working on the article zooming effect so that the text would appear and that my voice would work with it, because I had that done like 6 times in the video, and I wanted to make sure that that worked, because that was kind of the selling point of the video, is to portray these articles and show people, like, this is proof. I did the digging and I pulled up archives from the, you know, 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s, and I wanted to make it look cool. So it was really hard to do that because I've never done it before. So nobody complained about that, so I guess it worked. So that's good. I spent a lot of time trying to make that work. I had like a really weird highlighting effect that didn't work well with it, and I had a lot of other effects in regards to the planet exploration map and the away missions. There was going to be a lot of animatics with that, but it just came across as too goofy, so I cut it out. And I don't think anyone will ever see that footage because it was really bad. It was really goofy. So, all right. So, anyways, now we're going to go ahead and gear up for the comments, but you guys are saying some things in the chat that I want to address. So, Captain April says he would have hated it, but for the basic reason that it's horribly written. Captain, I agree 100%. It is horribly written. I genuinely like some of the actors and actresses that they have portrayed. I like Jason Isaacs. I like Anthony Rapp. I like Anthony Rapp. I know that's spicy for some people, but I like him. You know, I like, God, the guy's name escapes me. I'm sorry. But, you know, Dr. Culber, you know, that guy is a good actor. He was one of my favorite characters on the show because he actually had some kind of personality beyond nothing. So I liked him, you know, and of course, Doug Jones. I mean, it's Doug Jones, of course. Everybody loves him. And Michelle Yeoh, of course, everybody loves her. So, but the show is poorly written, period. And that's just what it is. And hopefully they get better. And it looks like, based off the trailers, that for season 2, that they have gotten better. Mercer Create says, I'm no Disco fan, but Roddenberry might not have liked Deep Space Nine. No, Roddenberry did not like Deep Space Nine. There is contention there that he did at some point before his death. Like, he was like, oh, yeah, Deep Space Nine was so, I approve of it, but I don't think so. I don't think he would. And if he was in his right mind, I don't think he would approve of it, which is, you know, fine. Captain April says, Roddenberry was never actually involved in the very early development of Deep Space Nine. Yeah, well, that does not surprise me. I did watch an interview that somebody linked to me in a comment with Ron Moore and someone else whose name I forgot, and I can't believe I'm forgetting his name right now. But he talked about how Ron Moore wrote the episode entitled Family, which was the episode that took place after The Best of Both Worlds Part 1 and 2, where Picard goes back to his vineyard in France, which is actually my favorite episode of Star Trek The Next Generation. Long story short, Gene Roddenberry didn't want the episode. He said that the fighting between him and his brother was terrible, which is, you know, jarring, to say the least, because that was really important part of the episode. That episode entitled Family is my favorite episode, and I may even do a breakdown of that episode, provided that CBS doesn't try to pull it down. Never mind. Anyways, how often do you do live streams? Not very often. I've just started doing them recently. Hey, Katwalski, what's up? Daniel's Hot Topics. Hey, what's up, Daniel? Boom, boom, boom. The finale was terrible. The finale of DS9 or the finale of Disco? I would rather watch Orville than Disco. Orville starts to really get a good jive going towards the end of the season. If you stop watching it after the first couple episodes, Go watch the rest of the season. It actually really starts to pick up, and they start to really tone down the jokes a little bit and start to pick up that TNG vibe a bit more. I can rock your world in ST trivia. Oh, Mercer Crate. I don't think so. I'm pretty good at ST trivia. And you say the finale of Discovery was terrible. It was just quick. I wouldn't say it was terrible. It was just very like, we need to wrap this Klingon thing up so that we can move on to the next season and bring out Captain Pike, who's badass Anson Mount. So it is what it is. All right, so let's go ahead and get into some of these comments, and we'll start getting some feedback from you guys. I'm going to read off the parts that I want to talk about, and then, you know, I want to open it up to you guys as we go through it. So let's go ahead and get our comments here. As you can see right here, no, you're wrong. It sucks. This is very polite. Thank you, Idea Maker. I appreciate that. Also, everyone who does the sexually transmitted disease joke about Discovery, seriously, I have like 500 of those. There's 1,000 comments on this video. 500 are about the sexually transmitted disease. All right, we're moving on. Okay, so Max is 2K. He has a, we're going to read the first part of his comment here, and then we're going to respond to that. It says, I believe this is a product of modern television. That's a quote from me. And that is why this show fails. This show can be anything. It could be an extra season of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. or Supergirl or Scandal or Scandal in Space, and no one would really notice a big change. When Star Trek is just like everything else on TV, it has failed. So I wanted to open this up to you guys and gals here. Do you think that that's a fair statement to say that if Star Trek is just like everything else on TV, then it has failed? If it's not pushing the boundaries, then has Star Trek truly failed? And feel free to sound off. You know, I personally don't think it means it has failed. But if Star Trek, to me, is a bit of a trendsetter, even TNG was a trendsetter. DS9 was somewhat of a trendsetter. Voyager, not so much, and Enterprise was not. But TOS, TNG, and a bit of DS9 were trendsetters for sci-fi shows, and I think that it's good for Star Trek to be in the forefront of what sci-fi shows should be striving for. Right now, I feel like The Expanse is kind of the trendsetter. Really, the Battlestar Galactica set the trend for the last 15 years of, probably the next 100 years of what is considered good science fiction show, which is a separate topic altogether to talk about. But I think Star Trek should have probably pulled away, Discovery specifically, should have pulled away a little bit from what people were expecting and made something that was a little bit different, and tried to set their own trends and to pull the conversation into what Star Trek was doing, not so much trying to pull Star Trek into the conversation that everybody else was having. But that's just my opinion on that. Responding back to some of the chat messages, we have thoughts on the upcoming Lower Decks and the oncoming Trek animated series. I will definitely respond back to that question at the end of this video. I don't want to get into that right now because that's going to be a separate tangent. Daniel says, I heard that in Season 2 or Season 3 of Discovery, they will push Discovery into the future post-Nemesis. I've heard that rumor too. I don't know yet. I don't know anything about that. I don't know yet. Well, most of TNG was life on the ship. It only pushed boundaries here and there. And it did, and the reason I say it pushed boundaries is not so much in what it was doing. It was just creating, like, a popular show. So when somebody, say, wanted to make a show about a bunch of weirdos underneath the sea inside of a submarine, SeaQuest DSV, they said, how can we do this? And they said, well, just make it TNG under the water. So that to me is like trend setting. That's what I mean by that. The sad thing, Captain Robert April says, the sad thing is that the one segment that kind of works, Calypso, has the least to do with anything Star Trek related. I would agree. Calypso, I have not done a review of the short treks yet. I will do them after the final one gets released. I think it's December 6th. And from there, I will do a full review of all of the short treks and my feelings on them. But Calypso was the one that had the best idea and the worst execution. I wish it was a separate show entirely. You had a great idea there with this crazy psycho computer that was like falling in love with a real human. Spoiler, sorry. But it was like, it was a great show. That was a great idea, excuse me. but the execution was poor, and it kind of fell flat, because then he just like agreed to stay on the ship for like, I assume, months, and then finally was like, I gotta get the hell out of here, and then he just left, and it was really weird. So the wrap up there was really weird, and I think the fact that it was 15 minutes hurt the show overall. Textrek says, Gene disliked a lot of Star Trek. The Troubles with Tribbles and The Wrath of Khan were both disliked by him. So we're going to get into The Wrath of Khan in my next mockumentary. And if you guys thought the Gene Roddenberry video was spicy, you have no idea what's coming up next. So it gets spicy. Mercer Crate has paid $2. Thank you, Mercer Crate. You are a beautiful human being. Thank you so much. It says, and he says, I wish Trek shows felt more like The Wrath of Khan nautically. I like that. That's good. Where did you get the shirt? This shirt I actually ordered through a catalog at a comic book store when I lived in Colorado Springs, Colorado. So a few years ago. You can actually get this online now, though, but it was like a limited release at the time. Before they released it for the public. I ordered this one and a 50-year anniversary Star Trek t-shirt, which no longer fit me because I gained so much weight. So I have it somewhere, but I don't wear it anymore. But this one is black, so it's slimming, and you guys can't tell that I'm fat. So there we go. All right, moving on to the next topic. We're going to look at a comment by Zitters Roofurry. Bam. So we're going to go ahead and switch back over. Gotta look for the next comment. By the way, I didn't even ask. Can you guys hear me good? Is the audio perfect? Is it good? Is it too low? I hope it's not too low. Okay, so Zitter's Roofery. We're just going to read the first piece of Zitter's comment, which is what I want to talk about. So it says, the fans didn't betray Gene, nor did the studio. Nobody did. Time just moved on and things changed. From its inception, Gene was never the sole source of Star Trek's spirit. It was a collaboration. There were times when Gene Roddenberry had enormous fights with his fellow producers, set directors, and with the cast and writers of the show. Yes, he believed in civil rights, but he was also an opportunist. Roddenberry was one of the first to try and market the show despite many of those co-running it who felt like it would cheapen the series' message. It was very much about the best of human spirit, but like all television productions, it owed its existence to the networks. Okay. Thank you for letting me know about the audio. Bye, Mercer Crate. Gotta go. Bye. Thank you for stopping by. I appreciate it. I appreciate it, man. Live long and prosper. So I'm going to open this floor up to talk about Gene. And Robert April already, Captain Robert April, you already replied back. You knew what I was about to do. We were going to talk about Gene. So Gene, in his later years, spent a lot of time reestablishing control over Star Trek, which is why he tried to ditch anything that he didn't have direct control over, like the third season, movies, etc. Yeah, so the question I want to pose to you guys in the chat, and that has pondered me, and this comment, along with a few others, made me think about, like, I kind of wish I made this video about Gene Roddenberry different. I wish I had made it about how he kind of betrays the own ideals that he tries to push in Star Trek, which is about kindness and peacefulness and working together for a common goal and being about everybody working as a cohesive unit and love and all that stuff. And he's kind of an a-hole sometimes, and that's a bit of a betrayal of his philosophy that he's pushing in Trek. And it's kind of boils down to the phrase of, you're going to just talk about it or you're going to be about it. And it seems in some areas Gene just kind of talked about it. So I want to open that up to you guys. What do you think of that? Do you think that he was an opportunist, and, you know, when people started to zero in on the cultural and diversity piece that was important to Star Trek, he just expanded on that and said, oh yeah, that's always what it was about, even though it may not have been the case? What do you guys think? I'm curious to hear what you guys think. Sam Greenwood asks me, did you see the Midnight Edge Nick Meyer interview? Yes, I did see that. And we're going to be talking about the Wrath of Khan in my next mockumentary, and that will be covered in that. But yeah, so more to follow on that. Captain Robert April says, then he calmed down and the list got pared down. I assume you're talking about what the things that he didn't have direct control over. Yeah, that's true. But he eventually got muscled out. And from what I gather, being muscled out was kind of a good thing for Star Trek in the long run. But yeah, so I don't know. All right. Finished work. Renaus Nisbet. Finished work. Later. All right. Later, man. I'll see you. I will answer your question, though, that you asked earlier. So tune back in later, and I will have an answer about the animated series and the short Trek stuff. So I'll have an answer for you. Thank you for stopping by, though. I appreciate it. All right. Ron K. We're going to look at the next comment. Delete that. We're going to look at Ron K's comment. Okay. So I actually did a reply to this one. It says, I don't like the series because the writing is absolutely terrible. I never once seen a military organization that would follow an officer who assaulted her captain to continue to serve on her ship. Yes, I know she was tried, but then Discovery returned to the familiar universe, and she was just thrown off the ship and then sent to... She should have been thrown off the ship and sent to prison. I want to focus on that piece here, and then also here, also bothered by the fact that he, talking about Ash Tyler, killed a crew member, but everyone doesn't seem to care about the loss of their friend. Yeah, so this... Oh, it's okay there, FN4CK. Welcome back. Welcome to the chat. So this comment is kind of interesting. I want to break this down. We're going to talk about this piece first here about Ash Tyler. The focus at the end of the season finale was the kind of emotional breakup of Tyler and Burnham. But it didn't really touch on the fact that they were like, well, he was possessed by a Klingon. It wasn't his fault. Yeah, but that's super forgiving. Super forgiving. I mean, was he really under the influence of a Klingon, or was he just panicking because he was going to be found out, and he, as the human Ash Tyler, just snapped that dude's neck? And they didn't really think about bringing him back to the ship. Like, wouldn't Paul Stamets want to see the murderer, the man who killed his lover, stand trial? Like, it was very weird that they didn't focus on that. It was just about Michael and him breaking up, and then that was it. And I assume he's going to come back in the next season, obviously. But it was just very weird that was just completely glossed over. And it felt like they glossed over it because they knew that they were going to bring Culber back, so they were like, what does it matter? Culber's coming back next season. Nobody cares. And I think that's cheap. I think that's BS. What do you guys think? I think that's BS, I think. Some more questions here. When all was said and done, the only bit completely out were the novels, comics, and maybe parts of TFF. Right. So I would say that the novel, he was talking about what Gene hated. The novels, comics, and all that stuff, yeah, he definitely pushed that stuff into beta canon. All that stuff is beta canon. Where, honestly, there's some good novels and there's some good comics, but there's some shit comics out there and shit novels that belong in the beta canon. They don't belong in the rest of regular canon. Drew L. says, the disco version of the Federation did seem to make a lot of decisions I thought didn't make a lot of sense. Yeah, it was weird. They were represented by Admiral Mean White Dude. I don't remember his name, but he got crushed inside of the Europa. And he was kind of like a dick. And that was the representation of Starfleet. So he was kind of like a dick. And then the other one, Admiral Cornwall, she just seemed helpless like the whole time. Like, they tried to make her like this kind of badass, but she seemed helpless and confused and just constantly just in sorrow. I don't know. Starfleet as a whole just was like lame. Then they also had that Black Vulcan dude who was also like an asshole. I don't know. Starfleet just seemed like a bunch of dicks during the whole season. It was very weird. Salzburg says, Gene had guys wearing skirts in the first season of TNG. I know. It says, though I hate to say it, Gene might have liked the show. Just would have been better with the canon. He would have probably been better with the canon, maybe, but he would have been better with the writing. Excuse me. But he did have guys walking around in skirts in the show, which may be controversial for me to say this. Excuse me. I'm okay with. Especially if they don't make it a big deal. The whole point of the political commentary in Star Trek is that they don't zero in on it. They didn't launch a series of online interviews with the guy who wore the skirt talking about how great it was that he was wearing the skirt. No, it was just an extra walking by in a skirt with high boots. That was it. And I'm okay with that because that's the point. The point is that it's not important anymore and that we've moved on. That to me is the point. So yeah, anyways, that's how I feel about that. Gene wanted to save... Okay. It says, Drew L says, seen that 947 times this past week in STO's Battle of the Binary Stars. Seriously, though, yeah, don't... the grind in STO, it's very real. FN4CK says, I agree about the novels. However, I would really enjoy seeing the Typhon Pact introduced into a show or movie. I agree. That's a pretty good one. I like that one. Captain April says, Gene's JFK story climaxed with Spock having to kill Kennedy to set history back on track. That is true. That is very true. All right, so now we're going to jump back to that other comment real quick and talk about the other piece. And it says, I know she was tried, but when Discovery returned to the Mirror Universe, she should have been thrown off the ship and then sent to prison. What do you guys think about that? I know she's got the Mary Sue complex, and we talk a lot about that in the comments already together. But do you think that she should not have been completely forgiven for what she did at the Battle of the Binary Stars? Beyond the fact that what she did at the Battle of the Binary Stars makes no sense and it's completely stupid. It was really poor writing and unnecessary since they undid it all by the end of the season. But do you think that she should have been forgiven, or do you guys think that she should have went back to jail? Personally, from a show standpoint, obviously they have to forgive her because she needs to stay on the ship. It's called the Discovery. But in reality, I think pardoning her down or parsing out her sentence in some way definitely would go a long way because she helped save the Federation. Throwing her right back onto the Discovery and having a full commission back like nothing happened in Starfleet, I think is a bad move, especially considering she did some shady shit during the season. Even though towards the end they tried to make her seem like a good person again, she did some shady shit during the season. So I don't know. I wouldn't have let her back into Starfleet, but I could see them parsing down her sentence, bringing it down a little bit, or dismissing the charges, but just not letting her serve in Starfleet. And she could have just gotten a job being a freight pilot or something. I don't know. Boom, boom, boom. FN4CK says, I think the Section 31 storyline will somehow explain why Burnham wasn't sentenced to prison or worse. And Captain April says, Section 31, the ultimate plot device, not named Q. That's 100% accurate. It's stupid. She's the only person to be charged with mutiny. Fixing the problem you started doesn't get you off. I agree. That doesn't get you off at all. And she did a terrible, it was just terrible. It was unnecessary. That whole sequence where she did the Vulcan pinch was just, God, I remember watching it the first time and just thinking to myself, like, this can't be right. Like, this is crazy. Like, we must have be in the Mirror Universe already. That's what I thought to myself. I was like, there's no way that people would react this way. We must already be in the Mirror Universe. But what do I know? Boom, boom, boom. Yeah, so cool. So we're going to move on. We're going to go to the next comment. We're killing them right now. We're halfway through the comments that I want to talk about. There we go. Okay, Wolf X. Okay. So he had a specific thing here that I wanted to talk about, which I believe was, I already forgot. Oh, yeah, this one right here. It's going to be this middle paragraph here. Excuse me. One of the reasons the original series struck a chord with its audience was it created in a time when the world looked like it could, when it created in a time when it looked like the world could blow up, literally, in everyone's face, but it helped out that the future, but it held out that the hope for a better future. Sorry, I read that terribly. It seems to me that the message still has great appeal to the messed up times we currently inhabit, but instead STD exists in a dystopian future that somehow connects to a bigger one. So this thing right here is a fair point. I think it's pretty fair to say that the whole purpose of the original series and TNG and really all of Star Trek up to this point beyond Discovery is that they live in a world where everybody really just kind of works together better than what we do now, and you want to live there. That's the whole thing, is you want to live there. Somebody made a comment on one of my other videos saying, I wish I could just live through the eugenics wars and World War III already and just be in the Star Trek universe. That's the point. You want to be there because it's great and everything is fun and exciting. That's where you want to be. That's what makes people excited about it, is you want to be on the crew with the everybody working together and exploring the galaxy. And he makes another point, and later on in this person makes another point later on in their comment saying, I wouldn't want to hang out with anybody from Discovery for more than a few minutes. And that's a fair thing. Like, I wouldn't want to hang out with anyone either. Everyone's double talking each other. They're always screaming at each other. They're always lying to each other. They're always working against each other. It's just not a place that I want to be. And that's a fundamental piece of Star Trek that I should have honestly probably covered in this Roddenberry video, which I didn't. But that's a fundamental thing that, gets people excited about Star Trek, is the fact that they want to live there. So yeah, what do you guys think about that? So we got a couple more comments before we get into the next YouTube comment. I thought the neck pinch worked partially because of the Vulcan strength and a touch of her telepathic power. No, I agree that I understand like the physical piece of the Vulcan neck pinch. I'm just saying story-wise, it was like really bizarre that she was trying to prove to them it was Klingons and they didn't think it was, then it was, and then she was like, we got to shoot him, and they were like, no, and then she was like, oh, I'm just going to take over the ship. That just seemed like a really big leap of logic. Was it logic? I don't think so. Anyways, you started an interstellar war, caused the deaths of untold millions on both sides, but your words have taught us what it means to be Starfleet. Here's your rank back, Burnham. Have fun. Seriously, that's how the ending occurred, and then, that was kind of not really great. Burnham is going to have to be captain next season, right? They basically said that on Twitter. No, she's not going to be captain. First off, I think they snubbed Saru from being captain because they really set that up as they were coming back out of the Mirror Universe. They set Saru up to be like this great leader that was leading the Discovery crew out of the Mirror Universe and against their previous captain, Captain Lorca. And then at the end of the season, they were like, yeah, we got to go to Vulcan to pick up our other captain. And it's like, why are you snubbing my boy? Just put him in the captain's chair. Jesus. I'm a little concerned about the eugenics war in World War III myself, but I'd love to live in the Star Trek universe. TNG at later seasons for me. Yeah, so would I. I would love to. I would do NX-01. I would be on there with the bulkheads and Commander Tucker, Charles Tucker III. I would totally do it. I would be on the NX-01, like trying to open up my door and then the whole fucking wall panel falls off. NX-01 lifestyle, baby. Captain Robert Abel says, Tilly might be fun. She might be fun, or she could be totally annoying. You never know. The DSC is definitely the most unlikable cast of all the Trek shows. So far. People did not like a lot of the TNG cast during their first season. And I'm not saying that to try to, as a defense of Discovery. I'm saying that as a reality that our opinions as a collective could change. But right now, no. Starfleet is bigoted against Kelpians. They are bigoted against Kelpians. It's ridiculous. I wonder if that's actually going to be something they maybe talk about in his video, but it won't be. I can't even imagine what his video is going to be about, his short trek. I don't even know. Kelpians are delicious. They are delicious. Kelpian helper, I think, was the meme that came out like instantly after that episode. So, all right, we're gonna move on. We're making good progress here. Moving on to the next comment. Cacao. Oh, that one was gone. So yeah, I don't know what happened to this comment. I saved it the other day, and then now it's not here anymore. So we're moving on. We're moving on. Okay, so this guy had a really long series of comments. I just pointed it to the screen as if you guys could see me. But yeah, he had a really long series of comments. But we're going to focus in on one specific section here. I encourage all of you guys to read it because it's pretty good. It's got a lot of good things in here from Star Trek lore and stuff like that. This guy's clearly been a fan for a very long time, so he's not just spouting off a bunch of nonsense. But we're gonna kind of focus in on this piece right here. So it says, your account of Trek visiting Strange New Worlds is flawed in numerous ways. The episodic nature of the original dictated a new locale with every episode, whereas the tightly serialized approach of the newer show continues the same story from week to week. Comparing how many worlds the crew visited on each without acknowledging this is fundamentally dishonest. You also compare visits to new worlds during Season 1 of Star Trek, which is 29 episodes long, to Discovery, which is only half that number of episodes. Again, without acknowledging this difference. All right. They had second thoughts and deleted it. Maybe. Okay, so why do I want to talk about this comment? So when I was putting the Strange New Worlds thing in there, that was based off of the original document that Gene Roddenberry was shopping around for TOS, which was that it's a wagon train among the stars. And yes, I understand that he was lying to the studios about it being a Western kind of show because he was trying to get money for a sci-fi show, which wasn't really very popular at the time. And I get that. But, and yeah, in 29 episodes, they visited a bunch of worlds. And I don't think it's unfair to sit there and say, yeah, I understand that TOS Season 1 had 29 episodes, and Discovery had, I think, 13, 14, something like that. I don't know, maybe 15 episodes. I don't even remember anymore. And I get that disparity, but they're visiting dozens of worlds in 30 episodes. Discovery visited like 2 or 3 episodes. I can't remember all these facts. I don't keep it up to memory. Like 2 or 3 episodes during their first season. So even if they doubled the amount of episodes of Discovery, it still wouldn't even be close to the total number of TOS. I don't feel like it's dishonest for me to not have mentioned that fact. I just didn't feel like it was necessary because I didn't think pointing out that fact was necessary. The number dwarfed the amount of worlds visited in Discovery so much that it didn't really make any sense. The other piece I'll bring out with this is that I understand that the episodic nature of TOS is fundamentally different than the style that they were going for in Discovery. But that's kind of the point. The point is that Gene was creating a show about a wagon train among the stars and going and visiting all these new worlds and dealing with the drama there. The fact that this show is not that goes against what he originally had set up for Star Trek as a whole, which we can see in TNG's episodes, you know, through seasons 1 and 2 and partially 3 that he had control over. So I don't feel like it's unfair or flawed, but this individual did. They have other really good comments in this that are true, and I think you guys should go read that if you guys get a chance to. So just some things you guys are saying here in the chat. Discovery had a lot of flaws, but it did get better as the season went on, so hope it continues to improve. It did get better in certain areas, I will admit that. And every episode had its little moments, and I hope that breathing some new cast members into the overall ensemble crew will help elevate the show to a new level. And everything I see on trailers so far is good, so I'm excited. I'm excited to watch it, so we'll see what happens. Drew also says, that individual had second thoughts and deleted it. Yes, for sure. I feel like including Spock into the second season is a mistake waiting to be revealed. It all depends on how they use him. It all depends. Is it worth it? Is it worth putting the Enterprise in? Is it worth having Spock in there? It all depends to me on how they use him. If it's used in a great way that is impactful to the story, then I'm okay with it. But if it's just shoehorned in because, hey, remember Spock? Remember the Enterprise? Do you remember that? Buy our show. Then I'm not interested. Captain Robert April. Hell, just compare how many planets TOS showed in the first 13 episodes to Discovery. Right. I mean, I could have also done that. That's also very fair, you know. So I don't think that particular person's criticisms about that part was fair. But, you know, what do I know about knowing things? All right, so before we go into the next comment, we're going to look at a comment that I got into an argument with an individual so that I can address an issue that I had in the video. I'm going to scroll down a little bit here. You guys get to see, if you pay close attention, you can see all the nasty comments that I get usually here. I'm trying to find this thread. Give me one sec. Yes. This is it here. Okay. Arguments always good for entertainment. Yeah, so this is so this individual, Ed So, says, and I'll go ahead and read it off for you guys because I don't know how easy it is to read on the screen. But it says, WTF, only counting on-screen deaths. What the fuck? Funny way to make a point, then you contradict it with the very next sentence with Epsilon Station. LOL. Billions of people were killed in the original series in the 60s. The Doomsday episode itself killed the entire crew of a starship and multiple planets of billions of people. What the fuck? What of off on-screen deaths is not canon now? LOL. Okay. And I replied back saying, that was a mistake on my part not to include more off-screen deaths from other ships and stations, which is a fault on my part. I did not think to put this number together. When I was putting this video together, I was focused on other parts, and I did not think about this other area. I go on to say, but there's no confirmation on the billions having died from the planet killer, just 7 planets in the L370 star system, blah, 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 blah. And then he goes on to say, my friend, you obviously have never watched a TOS series in your life. Own up to the truth instead of being a little coward. Numerous episodes had massive amounts of on-screen deaths that were mentioned during the episodes, some in the billions. The special effects did not exist to actually show them. It's called using your imagination, but you first have to actually watch the episodes instead of reading some stupid wiki article. Is watching 65 hours and 50 minutes too much work before making a bullshit video like this? Lazy ass. So I respond back. So I'm not going to keep reading the rest of the comments. You guys can look at it if you want to. But so I respond back to him basically just saying, you know, I have seen every episode of TOS. I have seen every episode of TOS. Did I watch all episode of TOS before I made this video? No, I didn't watch every episode of TOS before I made this video. Did I go online and just get an accurate head count that other people had made on a wiki article? No, I looked at 3 different articles and several blog posts, and that was the number. That's why I said a range of numbers. I didn't just give a number. I also focused in on it being just Starfleet personnel, because I knew that the number that I had gotten from these sources didn't include all these other things. I remembered that there were other deaths. I knew that this number didn't include all these other things. I wanted to then just take it, and that's why I added the line of on-screen Starfleet personnel. I made the mistake of not including destroyed ships or starship stations throughout TOS, and that was my bad. And I did not include that. I didn't think about that, and I owned up to that mistake in several comments, as I did here, but this person decided to, browbeat me about it. But yeah, I don't think that there were millions of Starfleet personnel deaths in TOS. The point is that in Discovery, they lose 1/3 of their fleet, and Earth is about to be completely invaded, and it's all terrible, and that is huge. Like, you're talking about a massive amount of Starfleet personnel have died in Discovery, as opposed to the TOS show, which not nearly that many number have died. And that was the point of bringing up the numbers. And maybe I shouldn't have been as specific with the numbers. I try to get as detailed as I can, but that is what it is. So, anyways, I just wanted to throw that. All right, so you guys are doing some comments here. Nomad wiped out a few millions. That's very true. Yes. People are so angry. Yes, some people are so angry. Well, that guy has some issues. Well, I don't know if he has issues, but he's very upset. That was unnecessarily rude. I did call him a rude ass at the end of my final reply to him, because it was just rude. Like, it was not necessary. Do you have any insight into the next season of Discovery? Captain April, it'll suck. We don't know that for sure. I stay positive. We're staying positive, okay? As best as we can. I have faith in Anson Mount. That's all I'm going to say. I have some faith in Anson Mount to bring a character that I think we might actually like to see in Star Trek. So that's my faith right now. That's where it's placed. At Kit Walski and everybody else, good evening, everyone. It's my first time here. So do we piss all over Discovery, or do we talk about what we like in Star Trek? Like I said, first time. We do all of the above, but we try to keep it as constructive as possible. It's not just about shitting on Discovery. We try pissing all over Discovery in a calm, civilized manner. Yes, that's true. It's all backhanded comments here. That's what we do. War is hell. No major wars in the original series. And I get that. But that was kind of the point with the violence. The reason I brought up the violence is that Gene has these pacifistic ideas, and it's like, would he have approved of a show that had a war storyline in it? And I don't think the answer is yes. I know, again, there's some debate about him approving of Deep Space Nine, and I don't think that he wholeheartedly would have approved it. That's just my gut feeling based off of all of the other things that I've read and watched about him, and then this tail end line of saying, oh, he also approved of Deep Space Nine. I don't know. But I don't think he would have approved of the war storyline. That was the point. That was the point I was trying to make by bringing it up, is to say he wouldn't have approved of this. This doesn't meet the standard that he would have had. I'm positive it'll suck. Robert April. I look forward to your reviews of every episode. I look forward to you tearing it apart. No, I was presently surprised in Discovery. What part were you presently surprised about? In my honest opinion, the war aspect was dealt with better in Deep Space Nine than in Discovery. That's true. Deep Space Nine also had a slow burn on their war thing, and then it just went, it shot up, and then they had a great storyline, and then they ended it, and it was well done over time period. The Dominion War in DS9 was an outstanding, in my honest opinion. Absolutely. And they really got into a lot of serious, heavy topics about terrorism, about torture, about occupations, about genocide, about slavery, about, slave soldiers, about deities, and it was very layered. Serious stuff. And, Discovery's war was about, Klingons, and they're upset. They're upset. So, that was serious. It needed to be said. All right, we're moving on. Dun, 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 dun. Bam. So we're going to go ahead and jump on to our next comment as I scroll back up here slowly. There we go. So it will be Neon Visual. All right. So cut you back over here. He has his own comment. Okay. So yeah, this is the one right here. This is what I want to talk about. So it says, STD ranks high among the worst science fiction in quite some time. There isn't any science in it for a start. It's clearly made for an entirely different audience than that of the branding it's abusing. Star Trek will always be around, and there will always be new Star Trek TV and movies at some point. It's just a shame STD and the JJ movies aren't one of them. We waited a decade, and we'll gladly wait longer. Or wait another, excuse me. Okay. So, I mean, is it fair to say that there isn't any science in it for a start? I don't think that there's... I think the spore drive is magic. I don't think it's science. I mean, Star Trek as a whole has got, like, magic science, but this is, like, magic. So I don't think it has more science fiction than we haven't already seen. Is it the worst science fiction show in quite some time? I don't know. What do you guys think? I don't think so, but I don't branch too far out in other science fiction shows, so I'm not sure. It might be. It might be that way. But really the ultimate thing I wanted to ask about this comment was, do you guys all think... This has 132 thumbs up, by the way, which I think is the highest rated comment on the video, or maybe this in the top two. Do you guys think that we're all willing to wait another decade? Like, is it okay? Like, if they cancel Discovery... Do we really believe that eventually CBS will say, blow the dust off that Star Trek franchise and let's start something new again? Do we think that that's okay to say? Do we think that that's really a viable option for us in the future? I mean, obviously, we're going to do the Picard series. And I think that it's good that they're doing that. I love Sir Patrick Stewart, but he's getting older. And if they don't do it soon, then he may not want to do it at all. Because he might just get too old and he says, listen, I'm not running around punching people in the face. I'm not going to do it. Or playing his little pan flute that he had. But yeah, so I'm curious to hear what you guys think about that, waiting another decade. So, all right. So before we get to our last comment, I'm going to go ahead and reply back to some of the things you guys are saying. The terrorist episodes in DS9 were some of my favorites. Cisco went full savage on them. He did. Beast mode. Evidence! There was a congressional hearing on violence on television that Robert testified in. He actually said, if you're going to do a war story, go for it, a la the opening of Saving Private Ryan. I mean, that'd be the best anti-war statement a show could make. The show the real horror. Right, that's true. Everything about the war in Discovery, other than the Battle of the Binary Stars, is off-screen. And you don't get a sense of any of the peril whatsoever. And they should have shown the horrors of war. Like, if they're going to go for the TV MAV, earn the TV MAV. Don't just get it because you showed Klingon breasts. It's bullshit. Ha! STD. The ship should be called USS Condom. I like that. I haven't heard the condom joke yet. Dismissing a sci-fi show for the lack of science is a little out there in my opinion. There's not much science in Star Wars or Stargate either. That's true, although Carter did do a lot of technobabble, which is what Star Trek started, was the technobabble. and they kind of continued it. So we need more technobabble and less magic. DS9 in general offered some of the best Star Trek ever seen. Sadly and truthfully, Gene Roddenberry would have approved of very little of it. That's very true. I believe that 100%. Whoa. I could make it. I'd be living off... no, sorry. It will take at least a decade for or so many bruises and egos to heal. I assume you're talking about CBS's egos and bruises. Yeah, it probably will take more than a decade for them to get over us hating Discovery. People hated Enterprise, and it took them a decade to get over that. And honestly, that show wasn't really that bad. I like Enterprise. I'm one of those people. Yeah. Jonathan Archer. Jonathan Archer. Drew L says, I could make it. I've been living off the old stuff for years anyway. Yeah, me too. I mean, honestly, when I binge Star Trek, like when I'm doing other things and I want Star Trek on in the background, it's usually TNG, Deep Space Nine, and Enterprise. That's usually, I just throw those on. That's what I watch. Conflict is a part of life. TOS had conflict between the Enterprise crew and everyone. Kirk would have blown everyone away if not for Bones. That's true. I can't wait for more Picard. Me neither. I would rather just watch fan movies and stories if there was another decade wait. Yeah, but all the fan stories have to be less than 15 minutes because, you know, reasons. CBS is looking for an excuse to dump Discovery and Kurtzman. Yeah, I think they jumped in. I think they thought they were getting the guy who did those JJ movies, and they didn't bother to actually hire J.J. Abrams. And I think they didn't get J.J. Abrams because they told him to go pound sand when he wanted to make his Kelvin Universe TV show. So, anyways, after one season, I like Discovery more than Voyager and Enterprise. The second season seemed to be addressing lots of things I disliked. I like Disco more than Voyager than Enterprise. Text Trek, we are not friends anymore. I'm just saying. No, I'm kidding. Axanar hit me right in the feels. It was a piece of utter beauty. It was very good, but we must remember with the Axanar thing, it was a short setup. And, yeah, it was great, but how would that have expanded outwards? Would it have held up to that? Would it have honestly held up to that standard? I don't know. People like to say that Axanar was like the top tier but fan films, but would it have been able to maintain that level of awesomeness? I don't know. We'll see. Rick Grimes has been cast as Cybok on IMDb. That makes me upset, but okay, we'll see. David Hewlett, who played McKay in Stargate Atlantis, had a gift for the Technobabble. He did, which is weird that they didn't hire him to do Technobabble in Discovery. They hired him to be Harry Mudd, which he did fine with. Or he could have just been any random drifter. He didn't have to be Harry Mudd, but that's a whole other thing. Remember Harry Mudd? I loved Enterprise. Me too. Enterprise looks a whole lot better these days. It does, actually. There's some good Enterprise episodes. I wish I could do more Enterprise episodes, but CBS, they pull those down so fast. An episode a day takes 2 years. Nice. McKay was one of the scientists in any sci-fi show. It was one of the best scientists in any sci-fi show. I agree with that. He was pretty good. He's up there. I don't know if they're the best, but he's up there. Captain Robert April, how much is CBA paying you, Text Trek? Yeah, that's good, yeah. You say, I live for the long days of being mad at Enterprise for ignoring canon. I never thought it could get any worse. Still, I'll always keep on trekking. I agree, son of a red shirt. You should keep on trekking no matter what. No matter what, keep on trekking. That's a good point about Axanar. I honestly hope it could have maintained its quality, but that's probably wishful thinking. Yeah, I mean, it is what it is, you know. We'll never know, but it's a thing that pops into my head when people always bring up Axanar. It's like, well, you got like 5 seconds of an idea, and could it have really expanded into something amazing? I don't know. Optimism, Captain. That's my best John Billingsley impression. It was probably terrible. You guys can rate that 1 out of 5 and only put 5. As far as exploration in the unknown, Voyager did a decent job. Well, yeah, they were literally in the unknown like the whole time. All right, we're moving on. Last comment, and then we're going to wrap up this video. Cacao. Moving back up here. Rip. Okay, and we have Master Surge 77. Okay. So, yep, it's just this comment right here that we'll go ahead and read and we'll go ahead and talk about. So it says, as far as I'm concerned, Star Trek Discovery is not Star Trek. Deep Space Nine had a darker tone, but it was still Star Trek. The Final Frontier was awful, I disagree with, but it was still Star Trek. And even that one Voyager episode where they all turned into lizards was still Star Trek. That was legitimately the worst thing ever. Even without Roddenberry, all those things were still Star Trek in name, to their name, regardless of their tone or style. Discovery, however, is not Star Trek. It's not even a good science fiction show either, even if it had a completely different name, with the creators simply not understanding Star Trek or science fiction as a genre. It just feels like some generic Mass Effect knockoff. That's the best way I can describe it. Okay. So, this is another... Oops, sorry. Hit the wrong button. Went back to the intro real quick there. The thing I want to talk about with this is it fair to say that Star Trek Discovery isn't Star Trek? Is it fair to say that? Is it fair to say it's just not Star Trek? I don't believe it's Star Trek, therefore it is not. I mean, some people still have that feeling about the animated series. A lot of people still have that feeling about the animated series, even though CBS counts it as official canon now, even though they flip-flopped. Do you think that they will retcon Discovery out if it fails miserably? I don't feel like they would. I feel like even though we want to sit here and say Star Trek Discovery is not Star Trek, I don't know if we really have a choice in the matter. I feel like it is Star Trek Light, and it is definitely using the branding of Star Trek to try to sell a show to old fans and new fans, and they haven't quite figured out how to satisfy both customers. I think they should have just called it what it was, which is a reboot, which is essentially all the show is. It's a Star Trek reboot, and just dealt with the backlash off of that and moved on with their show. And I don't know. I don't know if it's fair to say that Star Trek Discovery is not Star Trek. It doesn't feel that way when you watch it. And that was pretty much what the whole point of my entire video regarding tone, which is that when you watch it, it just doesn't feel right. There's just something off. It's just like, okay, the visuals are good and some of the stuff is all right, and I'm kind of like, I'm not like, it just, but it's just not like connecting. Like, it's not clicking. Like, you could put on, and I don't know if it's nostalgia goggles or whatever, but I can put on any other episode of Star Trek, even ones that focus specifically on Hoshi's character from Enterprise, which are just the worst episodes. But I can sit there and still watch it and feel the connection. But when I put on an episode of, like, when I have to watch Discovery to do my videos, I just get the clips that I need and I'm out. When I do for the other shows, like, I'll wind up like watching another the whole episode because I'm like, oh yeah, this is a good one, and I'm kind of like this and this. So I don't know. Like, it's just, I don't know. It's just something about it doesn't feel right. So is it Star Trek? It is officially, but is it fair to say that it's not Star Trek? I just don't know if we can get away with saying that. I know a lot of people said that about the animated series, and over time that argument has inverted, and now most people say that the animated series is canon, while some people still disagree that it's not. So I don't know. I don't know what the future holds. So I'm going to respond to a couple things you guys said here, and then I will give my 2 cents on the Trek animated series coming up, and then we'll wrap this video up. I don't know. The Axon trailer always struck me more like they were making Babylon 5 than Star Trek. Yeah, it definitely had an updated feel to it. It was a reboot, and it was all right though, but because it had like a story, but it didn't seem like super weird. But I agree, it definitely felt weird. I think the episode was officially stricken from the canon. Not sure though. Threshold. Oh, the one with the lizards? I don't know. Possibly, hopefully. Lizard Janeway was just, they should have given it little lizard coffee. DSC is Trek. Very misguided Trek, but it is still Trek. That's true. I agree with that. Legally, it's a different strain. The rights are rather convoluted thanks to the CBS Paramount split and JJ Trek. The sound effects did not strike me as Trek. They were bad, but the difference was felt. Discovery could have been amazing if they have put the amount of detail into more canonical Star Trek, and Midnight Edge has got part 1 of 2-part series on Star Trek rights ownership. So the Star Trek rights ownership thing, I am in 100% contention with what Midnight's Edge is alleging, and I've mentioned this many times. I do not, based off of legal documents that I have looked up in regards to this, CBS owns Star Trek Television, and they own what they licensed the TOS crew imagery and all that stuff like that to Paramount, and they required them to have various changes. Then this whole thing came out about one of the production designers said that they had to change the way the Enterprise looked in Discovery because of copyright thing, and then CBS came out and said, no, that's not true. We own 100% of what the Enterprise looks like from the TOS show. I believe that's to be the case. I genuinely do not believe that there is any kind of convolution, and that's why Discovery had to look 25% different than other Trek. I do not buy that. That information was given off by some Facebook people, and it was passed through the lines, and then Midnight Edge reported on it, Doomcock reported on it, and everyone just kind of took that story and carried with it. And honestly, we have not seen definitive answers about who owns what yet because it's still a legal fight. But to make anybody say one or the other is not 100% true. Even I'm sitting here saying, like, I don't believe that that's the case. I can't be 100% certain because I don't know. I'm not in the courtroom. I can't read the documents. I'm just looking at what I've seen, and I've looked at all the evidence that Midnight Edge got. I got the same information from that guy over on Facebook. I got the same information, and I didn't report on that because I disagreed. I didn't think it was substantial. I didn't think it was this conspiracy about Paramount owning these rights, and there's this whole thing with J.J. Abrams trying to do his own show and all this stuff like that. I don't believe in it. I don't think that that's correct. But I've said that many times, and I will stand by that until I get presented with more concrete evidence to say otherwise. If it comes out that that was the case, then I'll admit that I was wrong, but what I have right now, that's the way I feel. Yeah, so that's just the way that I feel about that. All right. So, about the Trek animated show. I know they hired the guys from Rick and Morty. Not the main guys, but one of the guys from Rick and Morty. I'm excited for the new animated show. I genuinely hope that it is a comedy show. I hope that it's funny. I hope it's in the strain of Rick and Morty. Not necessarily exactly like that, because that show gets a little out there sometimes. But I hope that it's funny. I hope that it's lighthearted, and I hope it's fun and enjoyable, and a bit of a contrast, not just visually, because obviously it's going to be animated, but a contrast in tone of what we're used to seeing in Star Trek, which is this is just more funny and more humor and lighthearted than what we normally are used to dealing with, and it contrasts the other shows. And I think that would be fun. That would be cool to see, because it would give us something else to watch and something else to enjoy, a different aspect about Star Trek. So that's what I think about the animated series. I'm very excited about it, and I can't wait to see the first new footage and what that's going to be like. As for the Picard series coming out, of course, I'm very excited about that. I can't wait for it. As far as the upcoming Section 31 show, I don't know how I feel about that. Discovery is already super dark, so I don't know how much more dark we can get with a Section 31 show, but it could be fun. It could be bad. It could be kind of boring, but I'm hoping that it's fun. I hope that the Section 31 thing is like a spy thriller. That's what I would like to see. I would like the Section 31 to be a bit more of like a spy thriller. Again, because if they just have people on like a Section 31 starship and they go on like Section 31 away missions, it's just a ship. Like, you're just making another Star Trek show. Which, if it's good, whatever, but that's not different. So if they want to make something different, they should do like a spy thriller, and that would be fun. So we'll see how that works. I don't know. We'll see how that works. King Pepe says, if it's comedic, I hope it has better jokes than the Orville. Boom, Orville, suck it. Yeah, the Orville's not funny, but the Orville is a good show, and I like it. So, yeah. There are 4 lights. There are 4 lights. Maybe there's 3. Bum, bum, bum. I'm worried about the Section 31 show. I want the traditional Star Trek values to win the day. I think that Discovery's going to... I think what's going to happen is we're going to have these shows. We're going to have Discovery, the Picard show, 31, and the animated series. I think the animated series is going to be funny and comedic. I think that the Section 31 show is going to be very super dark and very much like a thriller, like an action thriller. I think Picard show is going to be more like traditional Trek, and I think Discovery's going to try to figure out what the hell it's trying to do in the meantime. That's what I think is going to happen. But anyways, we kind of went a little bit over time here. Any last questions you guys have? We'll wrap this up here in the next couple minutes. Throw them in the comment box right now. I do want to say that I appreciate all of you guys hanging out with me. Just a few words about the future of the channel. I do have another mockumentary in the pipe. It's probably going to be a little bit longer out than the other two that I did, just because it's going to be more intense in regards to how much it's covering, and it's going to be focused on the Wrath of Khan and kind of our relationship with the Wrath of Khan as Star Trek fans and how it's helping and hurting us at the same time. So we're going to talk a lot about that. So that's coming up. And I still have on the docket a Let's Make a Whatever series. I just haven't come up with a really fun way to do that. So we'll see how that goes. But I want to make a video about that. Just a quick update. Yeah, don't forget to hit that like button. No, I'm just kidding. You guys don't have to hit the like button. I appreciate you guys just hanging out with me. As far as the tone video being taken down, I'm not going to get too much into that. If you have the link for the tone video, you can go there, and it says in big-ass letters who was responsible for taking that down. So I'm trying to work that on the back end right now to see if we can't get that worked out and get that video back up because I liked it. I worked really hard on that video. I spent a lot of time working on that video, so then taking it down, someone taking it down, really hurt me, and I'm hoping that we can get that fixed. So hopefully in the next week or so we'll be able to get that back online so people can still enjoy it. But yeah, so that's what's upcoming with the channel. That's where we're at right now. So yeah, so I appreciate again that you guys hanging out with me here. Says your tone. Also, Ketwalski, what do you think about the Khan show, SETI Alpha 5? I don't know about that yet. We'll see about the Khan show. Your tone video was really great. Thank you. I really spent, depending on how this situation goes legally, I'll do another live stream update where we talk about it, and I'll give some more info. But I spent a lot of time on that video. So having it taking it down in the way that it did and caused a strike on my account because of it, it was jarring to say the least. So the tone video was very well made. Good job. Hope they get it back. Thanks. I appreciate that, guys. Anyways, so Khan show makes me more nervous than Section 31. Yeah, the Khan show, I don't know. I hope they bring back Benedict Cumberbatch. Boom! No, God, I hope not. That would be terrible. Ah! All right, so anyways, guys and gals, thanks for hanging out with me. I really appreciate it. I hope that you enjoyed the time that we spent together. I will see all of you guys and gals next time for the next video that I upload, and then we'll do another live stream and comment Q&A thing after that. Hopefully that we just keep doing these things. They're kind of fun. I enjoy them. So if you guys did enjoy that, please throw a like up or a comment saying that you appreciated it, so that way we can keep this buzz generated. So anyways, live long and prosper, my Trekkies.